Hey everybody, it's Laburningham and I am so glad that you're here with me. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a hanging plant stand on the cheap. I'm also going to be using a few power tools to create my plant stand, and that is because it is in collaboration with Natalie Callahan from Design to the Nines and her Girls Can Use Power Tools Challenge. Now, if you don't know who Natalie is, she is awesome. She has used her power tools in so many awesome and creative ways. She's done a tile backsplash. She's done an entire wall of wainscoting. And her co-host this month is Katie, the Handymom. And if you want some home improvement tips, then her channel is perfect for you. I will leave a link to both of their channels as well as a link to the playlist in the description box below. If this is your first time visiting my channel, then welcome. I'm Lisa. I do DIYs and home decor on my channel. I would love to have you join me, so please subscribe and hit those bell notifications so that you will be notified every time I upload a video. Now, the reason why I say that we're going to be doing this on the cheap is because everything that I'm using is leftover supplies that have just been hanging out in my garage, or I got them from the Dollar Tree. Now, all of the links and materials and everything that I'm going to be doing, I will leave in the description box below so you can know exactly the sizes and the pieces of wood that I'll be using. I'm going to start off with my center piece of wood. So I measured out a 5-foot long piece. I made a mark in it, and then I got out my jigsaw because that was one of my power tools that I was using. So I got my jigsaw out and I cut the piece to the length that I wanted. And after I did that, I wanted to make some access points at the bottom and at the top. The top is going to be for a finial that we're going to do later on, and the bottom is going to be how I'm going to screw my pole into the base. I used a 5/64-inch sized drill bit, and I drilled a hole in the top and the bottom. Now, I wanted a really sturdy base for my plant stand because the last thing you want is to have your plant stand topple over and your flowers go everywhere. That would be so sad. So I'm actually going to be using 2 pieces of wood so that my base is really heavy and sturdy. The first piece is a 14 by 5-inch piece of wood. I measured it out, and then I got my jigsaw and I cut it to the correct size. And I found the center of my piece of wood, and then I used the drill, the 5 by 64-inch drill bit, and I drilled a hole all the way through the piece of the wood. Now it's time to attach the wood to the pole. So I got a 3-inch wood screw, and I screwed it through the piece all the way through the first piece of wood. And then I matched it up to the access hole in the bottom of the pole, and then I screwed it all together. Now, to add some extra support, I got some L brackets, and I'm going to put those on either side of my pole. Again, I measured it out, I put some little marks, and then I got my drill to give me some access holes, and then I got my screwdriver and I screwed the screws in to the L bracket. Now, this adds extra stability so that your pole and your plant stand will be extremely stable. Now it's time to cut my second piece of wood. Now, this one was a little bit thicker and the size is a little bit bigger. It was an 18 by 6-inch piece of wood. So I measured out the size that I needed, and again, I got my jigsaw and I cut it to the correct size. Now, to attach this piece to my second piece, I got my drill out and I drilled 2 holes all the way through the piece of wood. And then I got a screw and I screwed it through the first piece of wood just so the tips were just barely poking out at the top, and then I could attach it to my second piece. I got my screwdriver and I screwed the screws through the first piece into the second piece, securing it all together. Now, these screws were a little bit shorter than the first ones because I didn't want the screw to poke out through the top. So again, I'll put all those measurements in the description box below so you can know which size I used. Now my plant stand was nicely constructed and ready for some paint. I decided to use an ebony stain. I love this stain. It's one of my go-tos. It's from Minwax. You can tell by the drips that are coming down the side of the paint bucket that I use it all the time. So I got a sponge brush and I painted the entire stand, and then I went back over it with a paper towel and I wiped off any excess. And then I used a Minwax protective coating over the top. I put that over it, and the reason why I'm using that is because this is an outdoor piece, and so I want it to be fairly weather resistant. I let my stand dry overnight so I could handle it, and now that it's all dry, we are going to attach the hooks and the brackets. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up and kind of play around with the height to see where I want to screw it in on my pole. I picked up these 2 metal hanging plant brackets at the Dollar Tree. Now that's about the right height right there, because when I go to hang my container, I want it to be high enough so that people can see the flowers inside and not have it be too close to the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pencil and I'm going to mark out the holes where the bracket will be screwed into the pole. Then I'm going to get my drill. I'm going to pre-drill some holes after I've measured it on both sides, and that way I can drill in my hook. Now the size of drill bit that I used is a little bit smaller than the screw size, because when I screw in the screw I want it to be able to fit in tightly, but I still have a nice access into the pole. Now if you'll remember at the beginning, we did 2 access holes in our pole, one at the top and one at the bottom. Now the one at the top is going to be for this finial. This is actually the end of a curtain rod that I wasn't using anymore. So this will be perfect on top of my plant stand. It will add such a custom and unique look. Now our plant stand is finished, and as a side note, I did so much bending and lifting and squatting yesterday that my legs are so sore today. So if you want a workout and a DIY in the same day, this is the project for you. Now I purchased these galvanized buckets at the Dollar Tree, as well as this hanging basket chain that was there as well. And what I'm going to do is there's some twine around the container. So I'm going to wiggle the hooks from the hanging chain through the top 3 rows of the twine, and that way the hook is secured to my container. And now I can hang it onto the hooks that are on my plant stand. Now it's a little early in the season to be planting my annuals, so what I did was I just gathered up some flowers and some greenery from my yard, and I'm going to stick them inside of my bucket to make it look so pretty. Now this plant display holder is so versatile. You could use it obviously for plants, but you could also hang some lanterns from it. You could hang some wreaths or a welcome sign for different seasons. I have also made a sign display holder that's smaller than this that I use inside, and I use it all of the time for all kinds of different seasons and holidays. If you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description box as well. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed making this beautiful hanging basket display. I'm really excited to use it on my front porch, and I hope you got some ideas or some inspiration so that you can make one for your front porch as well. Thank you so much for watching.